nobody out there came to be mellow tonight, now did you? This guitar right here, I've been told, yes indeed. In fact, I did it one time on Safari. This guitar right here is guaranteed to blow the balls off a charging rhino at 60 paces, it is. There's another song right here called My Love. My love is like a tire iron. Made rock and roll ditty right here's a rock and roll dance for my fellow rock and roll doggies. There's a little thing right here called the flying lip lock.
Terminus.
What's up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters, and welcome to Life Till Metal. Going to be talking about Ted Nugent today. Sweaty Teddy, Motor City Man. I mean, you've got so many different names you call him. But I've been a fan since I was a kid. I've had a lot of requests for people to show off my Ted Nugent collection. So what I'm going to focus on today is just Ted Nugent from 1975 on. None of the Amboy Dukes stuff, which I'll show in a separate video. No 7-inch singles, no CDs, no, just 12-inch vinyls, what I'm focusing on today. You know, the Amboy Dukes were formed back in 1963, and 1975, Nugent finally dropped the Amboy Dukes name. He had pretty much become a solo project anyhow by the end, but 75 he signed with Lever Krebs and signed with Epic Records and just exploded as an artist. Became one of the biggest selling artists of the 70s. I'm just going to go ahead and get right into this. So his original band on his very first album, this being the very first album, Ted Nugent, and I'm not going to pull all these out unless there's something interesting inside. Now this particular album is on Epic Records, has a standard orange Epic Records label. This was Derek St. Holmes on vocals, Rob Grange on bass, and yeah, did I write it down? I did not. Cliff Davies on drums. Cliff Davies remained his drummer for years and years and years, and Cliff died just a few years ago. And I do have a very cool piece of Cliff Davies memorabilia. Actually, you know, it's right here. Let me just show it real quick. Before he died, my friend and I got a hold of him, and he sent us 2 pairs of these drumsticks, which you can see are, each one of them is autographed right there by Cliff. And unfortunately, Cliff is no longer with us. Like I said, Cliff acted as drummer and a producer for Ted Nugent, and he was the original drummer for the Ted Nugent band in '75. This album is just iconic, in my opinion. Fantastic, made Nugent a guitar legend. Most people didn't even know about the Amboy Dukes. They found this record first. Motor City Madhouse, Just What the Doctor Orders, Stranglehold, Stormtroopin'. I mean, this is a Ted Nugent Greatest Hits record by itself. Then you've got the Derek St. Holmes composition, Hey Baby, a bit of more of a groover. Queen of the Forest, You Make Me Feel Alright, which is a very cool, relaxed song. Again, has a bit of a kind of groove to it, not quite as manic as, Stranglehold, Stormtroopin', and Snakeskin Cowboys. There's just not a bad song on here. Produced by Tom Werman. Just a brilliant album. And I have a couple copies. One of them I have is, this is an American pressing, and this is a Canadian pressing. The difference, not much. One was pressed in Canada, one was pressed in the US, that's it. And I've had other pressings of this over the years, and I've given some away. I wouldn't mind getting a Japanese copy of this eventually, but right now, these 2 copies are perfect for me, and I do play them quite a bit. Second album, and Nugent was, he was filling stadiums at the time. He was playing gigantic stadiums, one of the biggest concert draws in the 70s, but he didn't really gather a radio hit from that particular album yet. There are several radio staples from that album now, but back then there wasn't. His second album was followed up, Free For All. And this album is a gatefold, unlike the first album. And it's again on the Epic Records label. Pictures of Nugent with his iconic Gibson Birdland. I mean, he was known for this, especially in the 70s. It was the Fender amps and Birdland, guitar that gave him that sound that was very unique in all his own. There's the center spread. And this is actually an original pressing. How you can tell an original Nugent free-for-all pressing is right there. That very, very thin, very colorful logo, which in second pressings and everyone after that was changed. And again, your standard Epic label. And there was no picture sleeve in this one. It was. Oh, I always kept. I like the sleeve of this one. I have the original sleeve in here, which is a picture of the band. There's Rob Grange and Derek St. Holmes. Rob Grange up here. Pretty sure that's Cliff Davies bent over right there, and Uncle Teddy right there. So, but I always like this one. I keep it in here because I just think it's cool. See who remembers this. Peaches. Anti-Static Record sleeve. Thought that was kind of cool, so I've always left that in there. The second pressing of Free For All looked like almost identical, but you can see the logo was improved. You can actually read it now. It's in a gold ink, and the Free For All is in a silver ink. Again, a bunch of iconic songs on here that he still plays live today. Dog Eat Dog, Free For All, of course, Hammer Down, Writing on the Wall, Street Rats, Turn It Up. All those have been played in recent years in concerts if you've seen Nugent. A great album from him. This was 1976, I believe. Followed up with, I gotta keep going because this will be an hour-long video if I don't keep moving. So, followed up by one of his biggest records of the 70s, contained his first huge radio hit. This is Cat Scratch Fever. Now everybody knows Cat Scratch Fever. I mean, it's an iconic song. If you've ever listened to FM radio, chances are you've probably heard that song, as well as songs like Stormtrooper, just with Dr. Order. Again, you've got the gatefold. This time the gatefold opens like this, though. Right? Cat Scratch Fever. Again, on the standard orange Epic label. This, too, is an original pressing. And not long after this, Epic Records changed their label to a blue label, so you'll see a lot of copies of Cat Scratch Fever also on the blue Epic label. I think Nugent sold in the neighborhood of 30 million records or something to that nature. The guy's still making music today, still recording, still writing albums, new albums, releasing live albums. So, and then that came next. This is 1978, and this is an album that, this is really the album that made me a fan. I mean, it was about 1976, 77, 78 that I was a kid in grade school, literally, and I just became a music fanatic. And a friend down the street was playing this record, Double Live Gonzo, and I just fell in love with this record to this day. And I've told the story before about getting a copy of this for Christmas, and my mom wanted to take it away because of the it was actually more the in between song banter and the language being used. I've also told a story before of taking this into Music Appreciation Day in grade school and getting detention because I guess playing Guaranteed to Blow the Balls Off Charging Rhino at 60 paces isn't appropriate for middle school children. This particular copy is probably a second pressing. I can only assume so because it has a barcode on the back of it. It is still sealed. It is one of the few still sealed records I have in my collection. I don't usually leave records sealed because I think over time it warps them. But when you have a gatefold and two records inside, chances of it getting warped slim to none. The Nice Price Plus series. So this one will stay sealed because I have several other copies of this. I don't need to open this one, although someday you never know, I might. And I'll show you another one I have. This one here I've shown in videos before, so I won't pull it. Again, it's a gatefold. But this is just a loud, proud Ted Nugent. I mean, so much energy here that you're not going to hear on a studio record. He captured something here that he didn't capture on those first three records. Great songwriting on those records, great guitar playing, but the heaviness, the energy, the raw sound is just captured here. And this album is not recorded all at one time. It's various recordings over various cities and then put together and made into one album. This particular copy is a promo copy. It is signed 4 times by Nugent, and I witnessed him sign this record when I met him in Beaver Creek, Wisconsin in 2008. You'll see why in a second. There's the inner gatefold, also signed by Ted. And my friend got this signed by him. And what he used to do is he put these pin boxes together, and he would get Nugent to sign these records, and he paid a lot of money, to Nugent's non-profit organization to meet Ted, and so Ted signed anything he threw at him. And he would take these records and he'd open up the gatefold and have it framed, and he would put Nugent memorabilia, pins, and guitar picks all around it, and he'd have them framed, and they looked fantastic. And that's the reason he got this one signed like that. However, after we met Nugent, he in Beaver Creek, he gave me this copy, which I thought was awesome. Let's see what I can't remember if this is on the blue label or the orange label. Yeah, this is on the blue label. So this is a newer pressing of Double Live Gonzo. Like I said, one of my all-time favorite live records. Ranks up there for me with UFO Stranger in the Night, Kiss Alive, you know, any of those. Unleashed in the East. You know, I can think of so many great live records, and that one ranks right at the top of my list. If I made a top 5 list of favorite live records, Double Live Gonzo would always end up in the top 5 somewhere. So, just one of my all-time favorites. Okay, after that record, Ted's band pretty much left him. Derek St. Holmes left, was replaced by Charlie Hoon on vocals and rhythm guitar, and then I wrote the name because I knew I was going to forget his name. Bob Granger was replaced by Dave Kawini, and those two new members together recorded the album Weekend Warriors. Another iconic record, another iconic cover. The cover actually got better at this point. I mean, this is a painting, and it's just fantastic with that Gibson Birdland and a shotgun. It's just, I mean, there's no other words to describe it except for badass. I love this cover. It's one of my all-time favorites. And it's a great record as well. For a while in the early 90s, I had given up listening to secular music. And I don't know, somewhere in the, 3-4 years after I stopped listening to it, one of the first albums I got back into my collection was this one, and I bought it on CD, and I popped it into my CD player in my car, and it was like, man, it was like seeing an old friend again, someone you hadn't seen in years and years, and that's how I felt when I was listening to this album. And it was really side 2, the second half of the CD, but side 2 of the record that just like so awesome. But the whole album is great. You got Weekend Warriors, Need You Bad, Smokescreen, which is one of the most underrated Ted Nugent songs ever, if you ask me. I love that song. Venom Soup, Good Friends, and a bottle of wine. And just a great record. There's just nothing I don't like about this record. I Got That Feeling, One Woman. Yeah, fantastic. And I believe this one has a picture sleeve as well. Let me just check real quick. Almost positive it does. Yeah, it does. While Nugent with his, here he was still wearing the spandex with the raccoon tail, which he always wore that. And I've seen Nugent live 15 times or at least, and he always has that tail on. Matter of fact, I have one of those tails. And then the other side has got a bunch of photos of him and the band, and even got some of his pictures of his family here. Another great album. This would have been in 1979, I believe, like 78, somewhere in that area. 78. All right. Keep going. Okay, I got a few more copies. This is a copy I got signed by Nugent, and there it is, signed 2008. Again, in Beaver Creek. Met Nugent in person 3 times. 2007, I believe, 2008. Can't remember the end of the year. It might have been 2005 or 4, somewhere in that area. And finally, another copy. This is a, can't remember why I have this copy. Oh, this is a promo copy. That's why, and it's on, because it says, for government sale only. I just thought that was unusual, and I can't remember. I think it might even be a Canadian pressing. Regardless, another copy of Weekend Warriors. I've got 3 here. And that was followed up by, oh, I didn't grab all my copies. That was followed up by, in 1979, by State of Shock. Again, I have several copies of this one. I've got the brand new one I just showed in a recent video with the green, the emerald green vinyl. This is an original pressing, again, signed by Nugent in 2008. Like I said, he was such a nice guy when I got to meet him in 2008. Signed everything we threw at him, chatted with us, told us stories, road stories, music stories, different guys he met, that it was like, I don't know, it was like hanging out with your Uncle Ted, he's just sharing these really cool stories. So that was great. And then another great record, Alone, Bite Down Hard, I Wanted to Tell You, It Doesn't Matter, Paralyzed, Saddle Sore, Satisfied, Snake Charmer, State of Shock, Take It or Leave It. And again, there's a picture sleeve in this one. Picture sleeve, pictures of Ted and the band, and more pictures of Ted and the band. Once again, you've got, there's Cliff Davies right there. The only remaining member from the original Ted Nugent band. And you still have Charlie Hunnam on vocals and Walt Monaghan on bass. All right. At this point, you know, it's always been the Ted Nugent show. He was the alpha male. So guys would come and go from his band. It's just the way it was, you know. He's Ted Nugent solo artist. Never was supposed to be Ted Nugent band. So, but guys would come back. Derek St. Holmes came back for several albums. So you also have the picture disc of that record, and like I said, the green vinyl version, which for whatever reason I didn't grab and put in here. So after that would have been when the musical landscape started changing and things were getting heavier and harder, and Nugent released one of my favorite records. I mean, this is, like I keep saying, all these are my favorites. I just love the early Nugent. Matter of fact, I love all Nugent. So this is The Wango, The Tango, Scream Dream, 1980, I believe. Yep, 1980. Again, signed, this one here, signed in 2007 when I met him. Yeah, Wango Tango, Scream Dream, Hard as Nails, Violent Love, Flesh and Blood, Spit It Out, Terminus, El Dorado. Terminus, El Dorado. I mean, this is not a bad song on this record. Raw, heavy, and it's just got so much charisma. I mean, some people don't like Nugent, you know, and that's fine. Yeah, you know, you don't have to like anything I like, but like what you like, you listen to what you like, and ignore the rest. But you gotta admit, the guy's got a sound and a charisma that's all his own. Nobody sounds quite like Nugent, and he wasn't really sounding like anybody else. Yeah, you could hear his influences, man. You could hear Chuck Berry in here. You know, you could hear Bo Diddley. You could hear those early blues guys. You could hear the, you know, the Hendrix influences and stuff like that. But there's no way you could say that, you know, Hendrix or Ted Nugent was copying Hendrix or copying Bo Diddley or copying Chuck Berry. You know, it was just that influence which was put into a blender and created the Madman. Scream Dream. I got 2 copies of that as well. I had several others, but I've given them away over the years. Like I said, one of my absolute favorite records, so I got this one signed in 2008. I had another one signed that I gave to my friend Rob. I've had several copies of it. Those 2 are staying in the collection though, because those 2 mean a lot to me. This next one is a UK pressing of an EP, promotional item mostly. 4-song EP, features 4 tracks from 4 different albums. So you've got Flesh and Blood from Scream Dream, Yank Me Crank Me from Double Live Gonzo, Motor City Madhouse from the Ted Nugent 75 solo record, and Out of Control from Cat Scratch Fever. Kind of cool because it's not only is it a unique, you know, pulling of songs. You don't have like, you know, there's no Cat Scratch Fever on here. You know, I mean, it's not a bunch of hits. You know, it's kind of a random pool. I'm not sure where they came up with these songs, but regardless, I like it. Very cool EP. This is part of a series of EPs too. Some other artists that were on the same label. You had Frank Marino and Molly Hatchet also had these, and I think I have all 3 of them. Next album is one that a lot of Ted Nugent fans don't really care for some reason, and whatever, I like it. I think it's a great album. It's a live album of all original material, all new material, not stuff that was on other albums. And that wasn't something unusual for Ted. I mean, even Double Live Gonzo, you know, it had the song Gonzo was on here. And that was a song that had never been released before. Plus there was stuff from, let's see, you had Hibernation, which was an Amboy Dukes song. Baby Please Don't Go, which is an old blues standard, which of course was also an Amboy Dukes song. So it wasn't unusual for, you know, Nugent to put new live material on here. But this album was all original. No songs from previous albums on here. And this album has one of his most controversial songs called Jailbait. You know, back in that time, I'm not going to get into the whole decadence of the 70s and early 80s. That's not the point, but that's what the song is about. So, Ted Nugent, Intensities, 10 live tracks from 10 different cities, all new songs. Put Up or Shut Up, Spontaneous Combustion, My Love is like a tire iron. Jailbait, that's the song I was talking about. I Am a Predator. It's pretty simple songs, a lot of these. These are like songs that he was just getting the crowd pumped up with. Heads Will Roll, A Flying Lip Lock. Land of a Thousand Dances, which was the single from this record. TNT Overture, and I Take No Prisoners. Once again, we've got Cliff Davies still on drums. Still got Charlie Hunnam on vocals. And you've got Dave Caswini on bass. This one has a picture sleeve too. I guess I need to show that. Quickly. You're spending too much time on this. Alright. Pretty funny with the little beach ball here. Used to jump around at concerts all the time, beach balls. Lyrics on the other side. So there you go. And one more for the Epic label, and was basically the last thing he released on Epic Records. And this is an all best of album. This is a greatest hits compilation. Great Gonzos, which was a huge seller for Nugent, even though none of the songs on here were, old. I mean, none of them were new. I don't know what it was about this year and compilation, because Aerosmith's Greatest Hits also sold massively, and there was nothing really new on that either. Cat Scratch Fever, Just What the Doctor Ordered, Free For All, Dog Eat Dog, Motor City Madhouse, Paralyzed, Stranglehold, Baby Please Don't Go, Wango Tango, and Wang Dang Sweet Poontang. And since this time, this album has been re-released on CD with a bunch of bonus tracks. The CD version is actually a better release than the vinyl version. I don't say that just because of the extra tracks, but also the sound is a little bit better, if you ask me. Anyhow, that's the Ted Nugent, Great Gonzos.
Harmonious.
And we got a change coming.